Bonjour et bienvenue à ma chaîne YouTube. Hi and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we are going to have a look at the imperative form for the irregular verbs in French. L'impératif pour les verbes irréguliers en français. C'est parti. In French, there are three groups of verbs. That is the ER verbs, the IR verbs, and the RE verbs. And to conjugate each group of verbs, there are rules that one must follow. However, we also have the irregular verbs. These are verbs that do not follow these rules. And in French, there are many of them. However, when it comes to talking about making the imperative form for the irregular verbs in French, we are going to have a look at some examples, starting with the first one, that is the verb aller. Aller means to go. As you can see, the verb aller ends with er, but it is not conjugated like a regular er verb, and therefore it is an irregular verb. Now, to make the imperative form for the verb aller, we start by taking the subject pronouns tu, nous, and vous. Tu is the informal you, nous means we, and vous is the formal you or you all, that is in the plural form. And we conjugate the verb aller according to the subject pronouns. So we get tu vas, nous allons, and vous allez. Now, to make the imperative form, the first step is to remove the subject pronouns since we won't be requiring them. The second step, which is a very important step, is despite the fact the verb aller is an irregular verb, an irregular er verb, we will still be following the rule of removing the s in the tu form, just like how we saw when it came to making the imperative form for regular er verbs. So this is an important detail when it comes for irregular er verbs and their imperative form. And the third step is to add the exclamation mark. So there you have it, the imperative form for the irregular verb, the irregular er verb aller, va, which means go when addressing informally, allons, which means let's go, and aller, which also means go. However, it is used when addressing formally or when addressing to a group of people. Now, there are some expressions that shouldn't be confused with the imperative form of the verb aller that we just saw. That is vas-y. Vas-y means go ahead. That is in the informal way. So as you can see, va, whereas we have also an expression in the imperative form which is vas-y, that means go ahead. Similarly, we have the expression allez-y. Allez-y also means go ahead. However, it is in the formal way. And then we have allons-y. Allons-y means let's go. So the two sets of the imperative form for the verb aller shouldn't be confused. Apart from that, we have some other irregular verbs that is essayer. Essayer means to try. Envoyer means to send, and payer means to pay. These are all irregular ER verbs, and therefore we will be following the same steps that we just saw when it comes to making the imperative form. That is, the first step was to remove the subject pronouns. The second step was to remove the S in the to form, despite the fact that the verb, the ER verb, is irregular. We will be removing the S in the to form. And the third step is to add the exclamation mark. So these are the three steps that we'll be following when it comes to making the imperative form for the irregular ER verbs. Moving on to the next one, we have the verb venir. Venir means to come. As you can see, venir ends with ir, but it is not conjugated like a regular ir verb, and therefore it is an irregular verb. To make the imperative form, we start by removing the subject pronouns, and the second step, which is also the final step, is to add the exclamation marks. And voila, we have the imperative form for the verb venir. Via, which means come, that is when addressing informally. Venons, which means let's come. Venez, which also means come, however it is used when addressing formally or to a group of people. We have also some other irregular IR verbs that will be following the same steps that we just saw. They are sortir, which means to go out or to exit, ouvrir, which means to open, and offrir, which means to offer. So as you can see, in all these verbs, they are all ending with IR, but they are not conjugated like regular IR verbs, and therefore they are irregular verbs. And to make the imperative form for these verbs, we will be using the same steps that we just saw. And the third example is boire. Boire means to drink. Again, we see that the verb boire ends with re, but it is not conjugated like a regular re verb, so it is an irregular verb. Again, to make the imperative form of the verb boire, we revise the steps that we saw. We take the tu, nous, and vous form of the verb boire. That is, we take the subject pronouns tu, nous, and vous. We conjugate the verb boire according to the subject pronouns. So we get tu bois, nous buvons, and vous buvez. To make the imperative form, we remove the subject pronouns. And the second step, which is also the final step, is to add the exclamation mark. So we get the imperative form for the verb boire, which is bois, that means drink, that is when addressing informally. buvons, which means let's drink. Buvez, which also means drink. However, it is used when addressing formally or to a group of people. Some other irregular RE verbs are faire. Faire means to do or to make. Peindre. Peindre means to paint. And apprendre. Apprendre means to learn. So as you can see, all these verbs end with RE, but they are not conjugated like regular RE verbs, and therefore they are irregular verbs. They are irregular RE verbs. So to make the imperative form for these verbs, we will be following the same steps that we just saw. Thank you for watching. A bientôt.